Tory was stabbed 14 times, 7 in the back, 4 in the torso, 2 in the back of the head, and 1 on the left side of his face. Rapper Tory Lanez is now fighting for his life after a vicious prison stabbing left him in critical condition. Word is, if the guards had shown up even a minute later, things might have ended very differently. New details are still surfacing, and now a doctor has shared shocking information about his condition. Things nobody saw coming. So, what really happened? And how bad is it? Prison attack leaves Tory Lanez in critical condition. The rap world was stunned when news broke about the brutal attack on Tory Lanez inside a California prison on May 12, 2025. What started off like a normal day in the yard quickly turned into a life-or-death situation. Lanez, whose real name is Daystar Peterson, was ambushed and stabbed 14 times by another inmate at the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi. The attack happened around 7:20 a.m. in the yard, triggering an immediate lockdown as guards rushed to get help for the badly injured rapper. And when you hear where he was stabbed, it hits even harder. 7 wounds in the back, 4 in the torso, 2 in the back of his head, and 1 on the left side of his face. This wasn't some random prison fight. It looked like a well-planned hit with serious intent behind it. The weapon? A homemade shank? One of those dangerous tools inmates craft from whatever scraps they can find. What made things even worse wasn't just the number of stab wounds, it was the damage they caused. The chest wounds led to both of Lanez's lungs collapsing, a life-threatening condition called bilateral pneumothorax. Doctors explained that when air leaks into the space between the lungs and chest wall, it creates pressure that keeps the lungs from expanding, making it nearly impossible to breathe. When both lungs collapse, the situation is even more dire because the body has no backup. The prison's medical staff didn't waste time. They immediately gave him first aid, then rushed him to a civilian hospital in Bakersfield. There, doctors put him on a ventilator while treating the collapsed lungs and assessing the damage from the stab wounds. For someone whose career depends on his body and voice, the risk of long-term respiratory damage had fans worried. Would he ever be the same? The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation confirmed the incident, stating, "At approximately 7:20 a.m. today, Daystar Peterson, BW0168, was attacked by another inmate at a housing unit in the California Correctional Institution, CCI, in Tehachapi. Staff responded immediately, called 911, and began medical aid. Peterson was then transported to an outside medical facility for further treatment." So far, officials haven't named the attacker or given a motive, saying the investigation is ongoing with the Kern County DA and the Inspector General's office. Now people are questioning how such a dangerous weapon made it into an inmate's hands. Was Lanez deliberately targeted? And if so, why? Those questions remain unanswered as investigators dig deeper into what sparked this violent ambush. Tory's lawyer, Jose Baez, has been working to get the full story about his client's condition and what actually went down. Though Baez hasn't said much to the media, he told reporters he's been in contact with prison officials and is monitoring the situation closely. In a brief comment to TMZ, Baez said Lanez is upbeat, recovering, and expected to make a full recovery, calling him a soldier in spite of the brutal injuries. As word of the stabbing spread, fans flooded social media with love and support. Even with all the controversy around Lanez, especially after the Megan Thee Stallion case, many were shocked by the level of violence and hoped he'd make it through. The attack also sparked deeper conversations about how dangerous prison life can really be, even for celebrities. Updates on Lanez's condition gave his fans a bit of hope. A statement on his verified Instagram confirmed he was stabbed 14 times, 7 in the back, 4 in the torso, 2 in the back of his head, and 1 on the left side of his face. Both lungs collapsed, and he was placed on a ventilator. Now, he's breathing on his own. Even though he's still in pain, he's talking normally, in good spirits, and extremely thankful to God to be alive. The fact that he's breathing on his own is a huge step forward. Doctors say it means they successfully reinflated his lungs, though the healing process is far from over. Each stab wound brings its own risks: infection, scarring, and potential damage depending on how deep the blade went and what it hit. Recovery won't be quick or easy. Trauma specialists say healing from this kind of violence takes months, not weeks, with the first few weeks being critical to prevent complications. After that comes rehab, especially to rebuild his lung strength. It's great news that he can talk and stay positive, but the physical and mental scars from this kind of trauma are real, and they don't fade quickly. Long after the visible wounds have started to heal, the questions remain. As the investigation continues, there's still a lot we don't know about what triggered the attack. Prison officials are now combing through surveillance footage, talking to witnesses, and collecting evidence to piece together what really went down that morning in the yard. Their findings could result in further charges for the attacker and might even force the facility to reevaluate its security procedures to stop something like this from happening again. For now, Lanez remains in medical care, still recovering from the brutal stabbing, all while serving a 10-year sentence for his conviction in the high-profile shooting case. This attack adds yet another wild chapter to what's already been a roller coaster ride of a journey, leaving many wondering, what does the future look like for this controversial rapper as he continues navigating the brutal reality of life behind bars? Despite everything, his legal drama, the trial, the verdict, Tory Lanez has received a surprising wave of support from fans and even a few industry names. The near-deadly attack seems to have temporarily changed the tone of the conversation around him. People put aside their opinions on the Megan Thee Stallion shooting and showed real concern for his survival. Social media lit up with prayers, support, and hashtags like #pray for Tory and stay strong. These online spaces became places for fans to share health updates, post their favorite songs or memories, and express hope that he'd pull through. Interestingly, even a few folks who had once criticized Lanez over the shooting came forward with messages of sympathy, proving that sometimes life or death situations can cut through even the deepest beefs. A handful of industry figures have also reacted, though the response has been more low-key than expected for someone of Lanez's fame. This muted reaction says a lot about his complicated place in the music world post-conviction. Yes, he still has die-hard fans and a few allies in the game, but many labels, promoters, and artists have kept their distance, not just because of the charges, but because of the wider industry reckoning around violence against women. Lanez's family, especially his father Sonstar Peterson, has been vocal throughout this entire saga. From the start of the trial to now, Sonstar has been publicly defending.
It was an argument because I was ready to go and everybody else wasn't ready to go. But that's like normal friend stuff.
And now, in the wake of the stabbing, he continues to insist that Tory is a victim of injustice. To him, this attack is just one more piece of a system that's failed his son, the shooting that sent him to prison. Before he found himself lying in a prison hospital bed fighting to survive, Tory Lanez was already at the center of one of hip-hop's biggest controversies. It all started on a summer night in 2020. What should have been just another turn-up at a Hollywood Hills party took a sharp left. On July 12, 2020, after partying at Kylie Jenner's place, Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion, real name Megan Pete, and her then friend Kelsey Harris were all riding in an Escort.
Right. So I get out the car and it's like everything happens so fast. And all I hear is this man screaming, he said, "Dance, bitch," and he started shooting.
And everybody else wasn't ready, she later testified in court. But that's just regular friend stuff. But what happened next wasn't regular at all. As Megan walked away, she claimed, Lanez shouted, "Dance, bitch!" before firing shots at her feet. She was hit in both feet, collapsed on the ground bleeding, and later needed surgery. The injuries, she said, caused long-term nerve damage. What followed was chaotic. Police arrived after hearing reports of gunfire. When they pulled the car over, Megan initially told officers she'd stepped on glass, a claim she later explained was meant to protect everyone in the car, especially Tory. This was just weeks after George Floyd's death, and Megan feared what might happen to a black man during a tense police stop, especially one carrying a gun. "I got out the car and everything happened so fast," she said. "All I hear is this man screaming. He said, 'Dance, bitch,' and started shooting." Lanez was arrested that night for carrying a concealed weapon in a vehicle. He posted $35,000 bail. At that point, the full story hadn't gone public yet. Then, on August 20th, 2020, Megan went live on Instagram and directly named Lanez as the shooter, setting the internet and the music world on fire. The hip-hop community quickly became divided. Some rallied behind Megan. Others doubted her version of events or floated alternative theories. Lanez, for his part, denied the accusations and even dropped an entire album, Daystar, in September 2020 to tell his side of the story. The legal process moved slowly. On October 8, 2020, the LA County DA filed felony charges: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm, discharging a firearm with gross negligence. If convicted on all counts, Lanez faced up to 22 years and 8 months behind bars. He pleaded not guilty. After several delays, the trial finally began on December 5, 2022. Over the course of 9 intense days, the jury heard from multiple witnesses, including Megan herself.
Justice.
I just stood here in this Los Angeles County and witnessed the worst miscarriage of justice that this world has ever seen.
Had taken on her life and career, she testified about receiving death threats and experiencing suicidal thoughts, at one point stating, "I wish he would have shot and killed me if I knew I would go through this torture, shoot me and kill me." Kelsey. Harris, Megan's former friend who was present during the incident, provided testimony under immunity that initially seemed hesitant and inconsistent. However, prosecutors played a recorded interview in which she had previously identified Lanez as the shooter. The jury also heard from a detective who backed up Megan's account of Lanez shouting, "Dance, ha, dance," during the shooting. A witness who saw the incident from his window described seeing a smaller gentleman firing with a muzzle flash near a woman. Though his account wasn't completely clear on all details, Lanez chose not to take the stand in his own defense instead. His legal team argued that Harris, not Lanez, was the actual shooter, suggesting she was big mad over jealousy about Lanez's relationships with both women. They also questioned Megan's credibility based on her initial false statement to police and implied her motivations might be connected to boosting her music career after 2 days of deliberation on December 23, 2022. The jury came back with their verdict, guilty on all 3 charges. The moment was heated, with Lanez's father reportedly causing a scene in the courtroom, yelling about a wicked system and claiming the trial was a miscarriage of justice. "I just stood here in this Los Angeles County and witnessed the worst miscarriage of justice that this world has ever seen on August 8th, 2023. Judge David Hereford sentenced Lanez to 10 years in the pen with credit for 305 days already served. Through a combination of jail time and house arrest, prosecutors had pushed for a 13-year sentence, citing what they described as Lanez's campaign of misinformation and danger to public safety, while his defense team had requested probation and drug treatment instead of prison time. During the sentencing hearing, Lanez addressed the court, expressing regret for his actions while maintaining a stance that seemed to stop short of fully admitting guilt for the shooting itself. "If I could turn back the series of events that night and change them, I would," he stated, adding, "I want to apologize to everyone in this courtroom, the court itself. And Megan, I am everything but proud of myself." The court also issued a protective order requiring Lanez to stay at least 100 yards away from Megan and to avoid any contact with her. His motion for a new trial got denied in May 2023, and a request for bond during his appeal process was shot down in September 2023, ensuring he would remain locked up at the California Correctional Institution in Tehape. While his legal team continued to pursue appeals throughout this period, the case continued.
I never raised my voice too loud. Like, this was one of them times where it was like, it shouldn't have got this crazy.
This continued to spark heated debates on social media and within the hip-hop community. Megan faced significant backlash, including death threats and people calling her a liar, which she addressed directly during her testimony, noting the industry's big boys club mentality. Support for both artists divided along various lines, with some public figures eventually apologizing for initially doubting Megan's account. After evidence came out during the trial, Tory's relationship with Megan before the fall. Before the gunplay and courtroom drama before prison sentences and getting shanked, Tory Lanez and Megan the Stallion had what looked like a solid friendship that might have briefly turned into something more serious. Their relationship, which started with genuine vibes and creative collaborations, is mad different from the bitter legal beef that would later define how people see them together. The first time these two artists were spotted linking up was probably at the Bougie Rock Nation brunch in January 2020, a star-studded industry event where all the heavy hitters and music come through. At this gathering, Megan reportedly tried to play matchmaker, attempting to set up her friend Kelsey Harris with Tory Lanez, which suggests she initially saw him as someone she trusted and respected enough to bring into her inner circle as winter turned.
Sure, we'll never know the truth until it comes out in court.
The COVID-19 pandemic had everybody on lockdown, creating a strange situation where creativity and connections often popped up in unexpected ways. During this period, Megan and Tory's friendship became more public, with Megan making appearances on Tory's popular Instagram live show Quarantine Radio, which had become the move during the early days of lockdown. They were also caught making TikToks together and sipping drinks on social media activities that suggested they were mad comfortable with each other. These public interactions had fans speculating about a possible romance, though neither artist confirmed they were officially booed up. At the time, their bond seemed partly built on shared experiences, especially the loss of their mothers, a deep pain that both artists had dealt with. While in the spotlight, this common ground might have created a deeper connection beyond just being industry colleagues. I never put my hands on anybody. I never raised my voice too loud. Like, this was one of them times where it was like it shouldn't have got this crazy. The real nature of their relationship during this time has different stories depending on who's telling it.
So is he in the car, shooting from the car?
Saying it happened once, maybe twice, on a drunk night. She explained her earlier denial was because she felt uncomfortable with the question and all the public scrutiny about her personal business lanes. Told his side of the story on his 2020 album. Daystar, claiming they had taken secret flights to see each other and that Megan had kept their relationship on the low from Kelsey Harris during the trial. The defense suggested that jealousy over Tory's relationships with both women might have contributed to the beef on the night of the shooting, implying there was more to the story than what had been. Publicly, whatever was going on between Megan and Tory seemed all good, at least on the surface. By early July 2020, the two appeared cool enough to hang out, showing up together at Kylie Jenner's pool party on July 12th. Videos from earlier that day show them vibing poolside, laughing and chilling, with no hint of the chaos that would unfold later that night. The sudden shift from friendly vibes to full-on legal warfare shocked a lot of people watching from the outside. Sure, relationships fall apart all the time, but it's rare for things to spiral into gunshots, surgeries, and a prison sentence that spans an entire decade. That transformation shows just how unstable the situation had become and raises deeper questions about what really happened between the two artists before everything exploded. We might never know the full truth, unless it all comes out in court. After the shooting, their relationship played out almost entirely through social media, interviews, and music. Megan addressed the incident in her 2020 track, Shots Fired, a hard-hitting diss that flipped Biggie's Who Shot Ya and took aim at Tory, calling him out for lying and protecting his image. Tory, on the other hand, used his album Daystar to tell his side. He denied everything and claimed Megan's team was trying to frame him. The back and forth showed how quickly relationships can go from tight to toxic, especially when reputations, careers, and serious legal risks are involved. It also highlighted how hard it is to deal with personal drama in the age of social media, where private pain gets turned into public spectacle. Throughout the trial and later appeals, more details surfaced about the messy dynamic between Megan, Lanez, and Kelsey Harris. Text messages, recorded calls, and witness testimony painted a picture of a relationship that had grown increasingly toxic. Megan testified that Tory had offered her and Kelsey $1 million each to stay quiet, claiming he was worried because he was already on probation for another gun charge. If that's true, it suggests that even in the moment, Tory knew he had seriously messed up. The shooting, and everything that followed, left lasting marks on both artists' lives and careers. Megan has been open about the emotional toll, describing her battles with depression and anxiety, made